welcome back to 4F Beauty. When will I be YouTube famous? Still don't know. I'm actually dressed, even though suddenly realised looks like I'm not. Right, this is also a low buy January update. I know, you're only meant to be buying one big thing in your low buy. I did only buy one big thing in my low buy, which was the items that I bought from the gift card that I got from Panic Antics. However, the items that I'm showing you today, one of them was purchased New Year's Eve, so technically was purchased last year, before my low buy. The other one was a gift from the wonderful Kay, who, if you remember, sent me the gorgeous certified glitters. Well, she's done it again, and this time she sent me something that was on my I want to try it list before she'd seen my I want to try it list. And that is a Viseart palette. So, not only did I manage to get the Hourglass Confessions in lilac packaging instead of gold, and we know me and my purples, but I've got a Viseart palette to try. So, if you want to find out just exactly how I achieved this look, my friend, you are in exactly the right place. Grab a drink, grab a snack, put your feet up. Here comes your tutorial. Hey, welcome back from the intro. I would have shown you these bits in the intro, and I know my low buy rules were you can only buy one major thing, like one palette or one foundation a month. And obviously, if you've seen my previous low buy January update, which if I remember I will link down in the description, I showed you the items that I bought from the gift card that I won from Panic Antics. I will also link her channel down in my description. So I'm probably breaking my own rules here on my low buy, but I didn't class that as part of my low buy because that wasn't me spending my money, that was me getting a gift card. This was a gift to me. I chose to use it to get a couple of items off of my I want to try it list, which I'll put up here, and you can see I've now crossed off Sugar Pill and I've crossed off Coloured Rain. Haven't actually played with the shadows yet. However, I've got them to play with. When I filmed my low buy plans for the channel, what I want to use next year, I described the Hourglass Confessions lipsticks with the beautiful gold stiletto holder. Kid you not, New Year's Eve, getting ready to go out, having a quick scroll, got an email from Beautylish. Look at these reductions. Alright, let's go and have a look. And in that, they had got Hourglass Confessions in lilac, and you know what I'm like about purple, so it felt like I had to. I will admit, I bought this on 2 instalments. I got this, and I got a lipstick that I've been trying to get for ages as well. Not an Hourglass one, I hasten to add a completely different one. It was a lipstick that I'd loaned a friend or ex-friend, so I'm never actually going to get that lipstick back, so I wanted to replace it in my collection because it's one that I used to wear quite a bit. And that took me just up over the $50. So I got this, and the colours for this are actually really pretty. It's got my One Desire and At Night. So let's just show you. These are not the easiest of things to get out of the packaging, as I discovered the other day. I kind of have to sort of take this bit out and then push from underneath. Right, so this is the refill. This is the when you take the lid off, it actually shows you on the side there the name of it. So this is At Night. I'm just going to swatch that on the back of my hand, which is a colour that I wear. Let's flick this light off this side so you can actually see the colour. So you can see it's like a russety reddy brown. Very nice. But it's the colour that was in the actual stiletto that got me. So you take this off, and this is the shade My One Desire. Hopefully you can see that. Just how stunning is this packaging though? It's just beautiful. And the My One Desire is my go-to in terms of a nude, which is the mauve. Now obviously these are not liquid lipsticks, they do not dry down. So, but to be honest, it looks so pretty, I'd kind of want to keep getting it out of my handbag just to touch it up again. So this I can now mark off of my list, although technically I actually bought it last year. But I'd already done the film saying that I wanted to try Hourglass. So, before I make a mess, I'm going to take this off the back of my hand. As you can see, one wipe with a face wipe, and, well, I say face wipe, this has got micellar water on it. So it looks like, bear in mind this hasn't actually been on here for very long. It took quite a bit of rubbing to get that off, so it looks like it could be quite a nice long-staying lipstick. That's cool. Now, the other item, let me put some light back on again, there we go. I think that's about right. The other item, once again, is a gift. Now, I don't know if you will remember or will have seen my subscriber sent me a gift when the lovely Kay sent me the certified glitters that matched my Hasina 2 palette from Blush Tribe. But she did it again. I got a message from her, followed by a lovely package for the fabulous Angie, which I absolutely adore. I love that people are using fabulous with 4 A's. She had bought the Libertine palette, and now bear in mind, when she messaged me about this, I had filmed my brands I want to try for next year, but I hadn't actually uploaded it yet, so she didn't know that this was on my I want to try it list. This is the Libertine palette, beautifully bronzed, and she said to me, I got it for me, can't really get on with it, would you like it? Does this not scream me in terms of colourway? So obviously I was, oh my goodness, if you're sure, that would be wonderful, thank you so much. So this is kind of a low buy update January part 2, because technically I didn't buy this year, I bought it last year, even though it didn't arrive until 2019. Obviously it was coming from America, I ordered it New Year's Eve, I wasn't going to get it before 2019. And this beautiful Viseart palette is a gift from the wonderful Kay. So technically I still haven't broken my low buy. There is a fly in my kitchen. If it comes past the viewfinder, I apologise. And if I suddenly have a moment, it's come a bit too close to me. Right, my face is washed, primed, SPF'd, moisturised, well, not in that order, washed, moisturised, SPF, primed. And because my skin was feeling a little dry, where I've had this cold, although I've got oily T-zone, I do get very dry under eyes. I get a dry patch right on the tip of my nose, which is bizarre. I tend to get a dry patch around the hulk here, and I've had a patch just here where I had stress eczema come up, so that's actually quite dry as well. So before I went in with my usual, she said, stretching to try and reach it, my usual antiperspirant facial primer, before I put that on, I went in with a bit of this Revolution Pro Prime Aqua Priming Base. just because I felt like my normal daytime moisturiser felt like it could have done with a little bit of extra help today. I'm actually trying a different eye primer. Instead of using my concealer, I'm giving one of these Revolution Pro pigment bases, or pigment pomades, a go. This is in shade Nude, quite clearly. If I hold, you actually probably see a better colour if I hold it back here. I'd imagine this is similar to the MAC paint pots, but I've only ever used Painterly. I haven't tried Soft Ochre, and Painterly was a lot stiffer than this. I have set it, as I always do with my primer. If I use concealer, I set it, and I set it with my usual Coty S-Bun. Right. I have done swatches. While I'm zooming you in, I will put the swatches up on screen. Unfortunately, I don't have the list telling you the names of the shades. That doesn't matter. There's only 9 in here. I'm pretty sure between us we can work out which shade I'm using. Right. Hello. Nice to see you again. Obviously, that first shade pretty much invisible on my skin tone. Now, I'm going to do my usual how to follow my tutorial if you have hooded eyes, and how to find out if you have hooded eyes or deep set eyes. If you know this bit, you can fast forward a little bit, but I treat each video as if it's the first one of mine you've ever seen, so I like to go through and just cover the basics, read the brushes, and that's why I talk you through the different windscreen wipers and twirly whirly movements that I use, so that if this is your first time watching me, you still get the full tutorial experience. Now obviously those of you who have watched me for a while will know what I'm going to say. You can speed me up, you can fast forward me until I get to the point I'm actually putting colour on my eyes. I am really not offended by that, but I want my tutorials to be accessible to all skill levels. So if you've never picked up a brush before, you can still follow my tutorial. If you're an expert, you can still follow my tutorial, but you're probably going to want to speed it up a little bit. Right. Now, when I look straight ahead, you can see all of my mobile lid from inner corner all the way across to the outside. So I don't have hooded lids. I do have deep set eyes, however. So if I just pop my brush here and then close the eye, you can see I've got an equal amount of lid, if not more, that disappears back into the crease. So I do have an issue with shimmers and glitters and stuff transferring onto the upper lid, but that's only really visible when I close my eyes, so I'm not overly worried. If it does bug you, just pop a little bit of glitter glue down before you put your shimmer on. That'll help keep it in place. Now, if you don't see all of your lid when you're looking straight forward, you either have a full or a half hooded lid, or what's known as a mono eye or an Asian eyelid. You can still follow my tutorial. Get either a flat brush like this or a pencil brush, and with your eye open, just sketch out where you will need your crease to be. Obviously, this is going to reduce the amount of space between your crease and your brow. I always advise you to stretch your eyebrows up as high as you can when you're applying powder, because eyelids move, and when you've lost 10-11 stone, which is 134 pounds, and you're 44 like I am at the moment, the skin on your eyelids moves. But I know 20-year-olds who've always been stick thin that have looser skin on their eyelids. Genetics, okay? So the tips that I'm going to show you will help ensure that you don't get any skipping and you don't get any white bits. If, however, raising your eyebrows still doesn't give you enough space between here and here, then we need to talk about the brushes. Now, I usually go in with this sort of size brush. They are clean, they're just stained from a previous one that I've used. So I normally start with a big fluffy brush like this, because obviously I've got a lot of lid to play with, and then I'll come down to a more tapered fluffy brush like this. Now, if you have either low brows or you've had to raise your crease up and it's drastically reduced the space you've got here, don't start with this one, start with this one. And when I move down to this, you need to go for something like this. Now, this is a tapered crease brush, so it's still very loosely packed to enable you to blend, but it comes right up to a point so you can control exactly how far the shadow blends out. And that particular one I got from Coastal Scents. If you have really tiny eyes, you can use like a pencil crease brush, but this will take you much longer to blend out because obviously it's more densely packed and has a much smaller contact of bristles against your eye. Now, as I said, I have actually set my lids with Coty Airspun, translucent extra coverage if you're wondering. But as I always say, if there is a shade, a matte shade in the palette, which is your skin tone or one or two shades lighter, it's always a good idea just to run that over your lid from lash line to brow. And that's the only time you'll see me really close this eye, because obviously blind in the other one, can't see sod all when I close this one. But in this case it doesn't really matter because I haven't got a base on yet and I'm literally just bunging a colour on that you can't really see anyway. But I do find that shadows from the same palette obviously are going to be similar formulas, and I just find that they do blend out just that little bit smoother when you have set it with a powder from the same palette. It's not essential, don't need to do that. A lot of palettes I don't have a shade that will work like that, so I just use my set Coty Airspun. I have got my colour switch for tapping off into, but because the sponge is starting to break apart, for changing the colours I'm actually going to be using a washcloth. As you can see from previous days, that works just as well for getting colour off. So, if I think on, I will try and put a picture just here, maybe, of which colours I'm using, if I can fit it on the screen. But basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'll refer to them by their number. I did a look the other day, put it up on Insta, using a lot of this bottom row, which people liked, but I wanted to try something a little bit different today. I wanted to go into some of the different colours and try it. So I'm going to start off with shade number 4, which is a matte, kind of a neutralish brown. And I'm going to start off on the outside corner here, and I'm just going to follow my eye socket, or if you've had to move your crease up, then you put it wherever you moved it to. And I'm just going to do like a windscreen wiper movement, backwards and forwards, just to lay down where I'm going to start that colour from. And if I relax, I can see that, yeah, it's not quite showing up above here, but I know I'm going to be blending it, so I'm not overly worried. Now, there is some kick up in the pan. I'm really not worried about that because I will just pick that back up with the brush next time for blending. Now we're going to do circular movements. So we're going to start from here again, and we're going to keep the bottom of the bristles in contact with the line we've just made. And I always hold the brush right at the end to put as little pressure on my eyelids as possible. Just going to do little circular movements all the way across to the middle, and without taking your brush off of your skin, lift it up a bit, reverse the direction, and come back again. And because I've got deep set eyes and I've got a lot of lid I can play with, I can actually go up again and going back to the original direction, bring that colour along. Now I like to leave a good 4 or 5 mils, or about a normal brush width, from the lowest part of my brow. I do struggle because of dryness and lines to get pigment to sit here and to get pigment to sit here on both eyes. Not overly worried about this bit for the minute because I'm going to be putting a darker colour on top, but obviously I do need this top bit to be pigmented. So I'm just going to tap a bit of extra pigment. Rather than doing circles, I'm literally just tapping it on at the moment to build the colour up on that top part of the shading, because I don't like going right up to the brow. One, it's very aging, it's very 80s, 90s style way of doing your eyeshadow, and also then when you put a brow highlight on here, it really makes it pump, it really lifts the brow and gives the illusion of youth. So once I've finished tapping on, I'm just going to really gently, and I mean really gently, buff, just to make sure that there's no sort of clumping of pigment anywhere. Once I'm happy with the depth of colour up and down the eye, I'm just going to really gently just buff up and down in overlapping stripes, just to make sure, using this windscreen wiper, because we've done circles and now we're going to go back to windscreen wiper, just to make sure there's no gapping and no white patches anywhere. Because if I slow this movement down, you can see it does actually move the skin on your eye for you. It does it in a very gentle way. Now, I'm going to repeat exactly the same thing on the other eye. Obviously I'm going to go a little bit quicker because I've already talked you through it, so you know what's happening here. Now, this is the eye I was blind in, and when I was sort of like 5-6 years old, it did get pulled around an awful lot of the ophthalmic hospital. Now, because of that, I've got very, very deep creasing here. And whilst normally the circular movements will blend any tiger striping out, with me, as you can see, the creases are so deep. I will actually blend this out and then I'll show you what I mean about how normally this will work, but it doesn't always. Sometimes it will blend the shades. Sometimes I have to actually very, very gently pull my lid taut. Now, if doing circular movements will blend yours, don't pull your lid about, because the skin on your eyes is the most delicate skin on your body, and if you pull it around, you will end up with deep creasing, which will leave you with this tiger striping effect. So literally all I do is just hold it out taut and very, very gently, but as quickly as possible, because I'm not stretching the eye for too long, just blend that together to get rid of any tiger striping. And then once I'm happy the pigment matches both sides, I again just do a double check on the blend, up and down, up and down, up and down, like so. Now obviously if you wanted, you could just bung a bit of shimmer on your lid and some mascara on and head out the door and be done. But we know that that wouldn't be me. Just taking some of the colour off on my washcloth. Now I'm going to go into shade number 5, which is the russety red shade, right in the middle of the palette. Now, although this is a matte, it does have a shimmer in it. So, we're going to start off, same as before, with our windscreen wiper to lay the shade down. But this time, what we're going to do, when we blend, we're not going to move the brush away from this line at all. So we're still going to do our circular movements across to the middle. When we get here, we're still going to reverse the direction, but we're just not going to lift the brush up. We're going to keep it in contact with that line and come back again. Now, the deeper the colour, the more pigment molecules, the longer it will take to blend. So, just going to go over this just a few times just to make sure we've got our blend. This is a really nice, it's coming out almost cranberry on my viewfinder. And once we're happy with that blend, which I am, I'm just going to tap very briefly back into number 4 and pick up some of that original brown. And I'm very gently going to, so I've got both the red and the brown on the brush at the moment. I'm just going to very gently just do very feather light circles where the red meets the brown, because I just want to blend those two colours together. I don't want to lose the brown, but I don't want to lose the red either, but I don't want a harsh line, so you can, oh sorry, hiccups, so you can say that's where one colour stops and that's where the next one starts. And I just find that's a really nice, easy, gentle way of doing it, like so. I think you can see the difference between the two eyes there now and the definition that gives. And I'm just going to go back in, clean the brush off a little bit before going back into that red again to do the same on the other eye. I didn't pick up as much pigment this time, never mind. My white balance on my viewfinder is going up and down. I don't know if it's actually doing that on the film, but it's quite a grey overcast day, and although I've got my LED strip lights on behind the camera, obviously the actual light in the room is changing as well, so I'm hoping that my white balance isn't going to play around too much. So again, pick up more pigment. Now this eye obviously I can just keep closed while I'm doing this to show you. And again, we're just going to run backwards and forwards exactly like we did with the brown and exactly like we did on the other eye, but we're just going to keep it in contact with that lower line that we added. And then, yeah, just give that a bit of a let's get rid of the tiger striping moment. And then pop back into the brown and just literally pick up any kick up in there. And then very gently, just where the two colours meet, blending that together. Now for some reason the red on this eye in my viewfinder is looking patchy, but it's not in my mirror. That's a little bizarre. I'm just going to pick up a little bit more of that red and just stamp a little bit of extra on there. Oh, that's a little bit better. And then pick up some of the brown, and again just where the two colours meet, really feather light circles, just to help blend the two shades together. Yeah, I like that. Clean my brush off. Right, I am now going to go down to the more tapered brush. So if you've started already with this brush, now's the time to go down to the pointed or tapered crease brush. Now I'm going to go into shade number 3 and pick the pigment up on the brush, and I'm just going to initially just stamp it on the outer third of the eye on the mobile lid. Very gently. Do a couple of circles just to see how that's going to blend. And then pick up some more of the pigment on the brush, tap off, And again, we're going to go through the crease line like we did before, but this time we're not going to pick up any more pigment, and rather than keeping the bottom of the bristles in contact, we're going to keep the whole of the brush. Actually, I might pick up a bit more pigment, it's got a little bit patchy there where my eye plays up. We're going to keep the brush in contact with that line completely, so we're going to try and keep that line right in the middle of these bristles. And we're going to do the tiniest, tiniest little circles that we can, because all we want to do is just very gently soften the edges of this deepest colour that we've put on. We don't want to blend it up the eye because we don't want to cover the red that we've put, so you can still see the three very distinct shades here. And that's exactly what we want, because this deeper colour will give the illusion of giving the eye depth and sending the, because the darker the colour the more it recedes. So I think you can see this eye now looks a lot deeper and it almost changes the shape of it in comparison to this eye. So very, very gentle, very, very light circles. And then when we get to the outside edge, just very lightly blend that edge in. Again, that's looking patchy on my viewfinder but not in my mirror, which is annoying, and I really hope it's not showing up as patchy when I edit. Yeah, see, in my mirror it looks absolutely fine. There's no patching there at all. So hopefully it's just that my viewfinder is playing me about, as it tends to do. Right, now I'm going to repeat that on the other eye. This is probably going to be easier for you to see because I can actually keep the eye shut. So you can see I'm just start off by tapping right at the edge, then come next to it and tap, and go up a bit and tap. So I basically do three, almost like a triangle on the outside edge, and then very gently just blend those three together. Okay? Pick up some more of that pigment, and I'm just going to run it through the crease. And then very, very gentle, very soft circles just to blend out. I'm just going to pick up a little bit more pigment for this outer corner, because again, as I said, here and here on both my eyes struggle to hold on to pigment, partly because the skin there is one of the places that I do get stress eczema, and partly because of creasing, you know, getting old. So yeah, I'm just going to very gently smudge that line out, just like we did with the other one. I'm just going to check that I've... Whoa, look at that tiger striping, that's fairly obvious. So we're just going to give that a bit of a quick buff. I might pick up a tiny wee bit of pigment just to make sure I don't lose any of the depth of colour. Because obviously that is a risk when you have to pull your lid out like this, that you end up over blending and losing the colour, or it goes muddy. But these shadows are performing really, really nicely, I have to admit. Right, clean that brush off. Now comes the fun bit, because it's time to play with some shimmers. Right, I am going to go in. She said if she couldn't find the damn brush. Come on. There we go. This is a So Eco brush, it's just a flat packing brush. Now, I would tell you what it's called, but I've had it so long that the name's actually come off of the handle. Don't ask. And I use this pigment boost from Obsession to wet the pigment, not wet the brush. Brush goes into the pigment dry. Because if you're using a pressed pigment, the last thing you want to do is go in with a wet brush, because then you're going to get hard pan, you're going to seal the colour over, and you're not going to be able to pick up any colour next time you go in. Right, so in terms of shimmers, we have the gold, the sort of cranberry, and the teal. Now I used the teal and the gold on the look that I put up on Instagram the other day. If you want me to film that for my channel, let me know. But I'm going to go into this one today, which is shade number 6. So I'm just going to pick up. Now these shimmers are super soft. Look at the amount of pigment that's come up in that pan. So pack it onto the brush and then wet the brush. Now I always make a point of drying off the ferrule so that you don't get any moisture sinking down in here and loosening the bristles. And then this I'm going to apply to the remaining 2/3 of the lid, but so far haven't got any colour on it. This is beautiful. This would actually have been a really nice Christmas Day look. So if you're thinking ahead or if you're one of those people that works in retail, so your Christmas party tends to be 25th of January instead of 25th of December, or 23rd, 25th, 24th of December, then, well, to be honest, this would look beautiful any time of year, but especially so it would work in the winter months. What I tend to do when I've pressed the pigment on, I tend to go 2/3 of the way along and then just sort of feather it down in like a triangle to the outer corner, just so that we still maintain that depth of shade that we put down there. And yes, I could do a cut crease by putting concealer down, but I like to see how much pigment the shimmers actually have and to whether they can hold their own without needing concealer underneath, and it appears that these ones definitely can. Now, I am not going to go back in with a wet brush, so I'm going to clear this off on here. And this has the added bonus as well, because obviously if I was doing this with my colour switch, I'd clean it off and then I'd wipe the brush on my hand to make sure it was dry. But because I'm using a washcloth, it cleans the brush and dries the brush, just to show you there is no pigment coming off of that brush. So, going back into that shimmer, shade number 6, packing the pigment on the brush, wetting the brush, and applying it to my eye. Now, with this eye, I do have to stretch the lid out when I'm doing shimmers, because otherwise it ends up sort of skipping over the top of the deep creasing, and then as it dries it flakes off down my face during the day. Again, don't do this if you don't have to, or you will end up having to do it like I do. So again, just taking that along, almost like an eyeliner to the edge there, and then coming up on a diagonal and just very gently patting that pigment into place. How beautiful is that? Right, I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to bung all the rest of my face on, so foundation, etc, etc, and I will come back and finish off the under eyes with you. So, in YouTube world, that will be instant. Hey, I'm back. Right, using the flat top brush that I spoke about earlier, now normally I use a different colour under here, but I think today I might go a little bit monochrome. So I'm going to pick up shade 3, which is the darkest one that we've used so far. I'm just going to smudge that up underneath the bottom lashes, going about 2/3 of the way along, I suppose. I always flinch doing this side because obviously I have to rely on my mirror and muscle memory because I don't have any peripheral vision, so I don't actually know if I'm going to poke myself in the eye or not, and regular viewers will know, poking myself in the eye, yeah, it happens. Okay, now you can leave it like that if you want. I like to smudge mine out. Again, it's a flat top brush. Hello, okay, but it's thicker. I have very, very sensitive eyes. If I put anything on the actual waterline here, it'll last maybe half an hour if I'm lucky, and then my eyes will be watering so much it'll all be down my cheeks. That's why I tend to concentrate more on the under eye. So I'm just going to tap the tip of those bristles into that centre shade, which is the cranberry, the second one that we used. And I'm just going to very gently buff that all the way along. Just to gently soften the line we've put down and to tie the colours in from the top lid. Like so. And then I'm going to get my teeny tiny little brush to apply highlight. And as one of my Christmas presents, I actually got sarcophagus in a big pan, which I'm very happy about. So you're probably going to see this an awful lot because it is the perfect gold for my skin, because where I'm cool toned I have to be very, very, well, neutral to cool. I have to be very careful which golds I use, because if they're too warm they look awful, to be quite honest. But this is more of a like a champagne gold, almost like a beige undertone to it. I know that sounds terrible, but you can see it really, it's the most neutral gold that I've found, and it suits the majority of skin tones. Okay, I'm going to pause you one more time because you don't need to see me put mascara on. Everybody knows how to do that. So I should put mascara on, stick some highlight on my cheeks, bung some lippy on, do something with my hair. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Decided to use the at night version of the Hourglass lippies that I bought because I just think this goes beautifully. A wonderful, almost monochrome look today. So, what do I think of the Viseart Libertine palette? Now, obviously today I've only used a few colours, however, I have now, thanks to the look that I did the other day on Insta, I have actually used every single shade in this palette. The purple and the very, very deep blue did take a little bit of extra finessing to get them blended, but that's pretty true of most deep pigments. I'm just checking I haven't got lipstick on my teeth. So I really, really like this palette. I mean, you could do, what is up with my hair? Can you see? Look, can you see what's happening here? You could do really neutral looks with this, right up to full on party looks with this. And I am so glad Kay sent me this. Thank you so much. Oh, that's the door. Hold on. And I'm back. And the hair's still nuts. Kay, thank you so much for sending me this. I've really, really enjoyed doing the 2 looks that I've done so far. And I get the feeling this is going to become one of my favourite palettes, especially for travel, because it is really nice and compact and it feels very secure as well. It's quite a tight, as you can see, it's quite a tight closure on it as well. So, and those are most definitely my colours, aren't they? That for me, that's a neutral palette. Yeah, it is. Right, Kay, thank you again. If you're wondering, would I have bought this with my own money? Hell yes, I would. Absolutely. Really, really love this. I can see why people compliment Viseart shadows so much, because they do blend really, really well. Alright then, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, it would be awesome if you could hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, don't forget to ring my bell, and choose all notifications, and then you get told every time I upload another one of these. And talking another one of these films, I've got an awful lot to choose from. I should even, if I remember, have some linked in the description box. But once you've finished watching and liking and commenting and sharing all of mine, my girlies from the Beauty YouTuber Growth Group are also listed, as ever, in my description box, and it would be fantastic, or indeed fabulous, if you could pop over and check out their channels once you've finished watching all of mine. Right, pretty sure I repeated myself there, but never mind. All that remains for me to say, as always, is you'll stay fabulous, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.